Hey everyone, it is Brian Kaz here on another WebFire Marketing Jumpstart call here. I'm also joined by my friend and business partner, Sean Casey, as well as we have a helper on the call, Sharon, as well. So we're all here to make sure you guys have a great webinar here. We'll go over a lot of neat stuff, and we'll also have an opportunity for you guys to ask any questions and stuff you want live. But first, before I jump into this next call right here, I want to make sure that you can hear my voice and see my screen, which is just basically a PowerPoint. If you can, just say a quick yes so I know I'm not talking to myself. All right. Cool. Lots and lots of yeses. That's always a good thing. I learned my lesson to always ask, because years ago I had one where, like, for the first 5 minutes I was talking to myself and didn't even know it. All right, cool. All right, so with that, we will get the show on the road here. So on this call right here, it's again another one of our Jumpstart series. And this one will basically cover a few different things, all kind of meshed in one right here. So first, we'll basically talk about easy rankings and new age SEO, which is basically like the steps you need to rank. Now, we have a lot of prior training and a lot of tools on how to rank, but I sometimes find that a lot of people oftentimes overthink it, or they miss the basics. And I think once you see this, you'll say, oh, wow, this is much easier than I thought. So I like to reiterate that and show how easy it can be to actually rank if you know what you're doing and use our tools well. So we'll just go through the basics of that. So by the end of the call, you should be able to have everything you need to get some decent rankings going. After that, I'll basically talk about marketing and replying to leads. We had a request, I think on the last call, a couple people were asking about like what to write to leads, how to word stuff. So I'll talk a little bit about that. I'll give a few examples. That can make a major difference because, you know, WebFire has a lot of tools to help get you a lot of leads, but on top of that, almost just as important is what you do with those leads and what you say basically to those leads once you get them. So I'll basically give a few examples on that, and we'll talk a bit about what to say and not to say there, and a couple tricks about how to have a really awesome offer, including some examples of past things that I've done as well. Then after that, we'll go through a business analyzer tool, which you guys will get for free. So it's another software tool that you'll get for free. I'll do a brief demo of it, and I'll give you guys a link, and you can get it for free. There's absolutely like no credit card needed. In fact, there's not even a credit card form, so that is all completely free. You don't have to pay for anything, just as a special bonus to you guys right here. So I'll explain what that is, how that's useful, how you can use it both in your own business as well as others, and we'll end it with a Q&A. So again, welcome to another one of WebFire's Jumpstart calls right here. Make sure you sign up for future calls, and also make sure to check out our past ones. We have a lot of past calls. I lost count actually, but I want to say it's well over 150. Could be maybe even closing in on a lot more than that, but that's all in the training area. If you click on the training tab inside of WebFire, then you click on the Wednesday calls, and you see a drop down of all the calls right there with the most recent ones at the very top. You can also search by keyword there as well if there's a topic of interest to you. But we also have the titles of most of those easily viewable. So if you just briefly glance through them all within a minute or two, you can probably identify at least a handful that will be very useful and to you. So make sure to do that. So if you're here or you're registered for this series, you'll get a reminder before each of these calls that we do. If you can't make one, no worries. We'll have the recordings up in the members area, usually within a day or so, under the training tab on the left side navigation bar. So you click on the training, then you click on Wednesday calls, and you'll see them all right there. So we'll have this one here either later today or by tomorrow once they can render the recording, and once we get the programmer to throw that all up right there. So no worries if you miss all or part of the call right here. Of course, if you're on it live, you get the chance to ask any question you want live, and also a chance to win some money as well. So if you want a chance to win $100 today, make sure to join our free Facebook group. If you're not already a free member, you can go to getwebfire.com/FB group. Again, that's just getwebfire.com/FB group. If you're not a free member of that yet, just click the join button, and Sharon will approve you probably within like a couple minutes or so. And towards the end of this call, we'll actually give you some instructions on what to basically do to get a chance to win $100. It's super, super, super easy. And we'll talk more about that towards the end of the call. But in the meantime, if you're not a member yet, free one, just go to that link right there. We'll forward to the Facebook group, and you can sign up for free, and we'll give you instructions on what to do towards the end. And if you're a free member there, you'll have a chance to win $100. So this is part 3 of 3 of our new Jumpstart WebFire series with some bonus software as well. So this is the second free software that we've actually given out on the series right here. Last week we had another one. So make sure to check out our prior calls if you missed any. And also keep in mind that this doesn't mean this is like the last of the calls or anything like that. As I said, we have a lot of calls, and we continuously do new ones as well. So if there's a topic that we think would be interesting to share, or training that would be good, or if there's something that you guys think would be neat or good for us to basically cover, let us know, and we'll try to make that happen. But we'll definitely give you alert, ahead of time over email, as well as on the Facebook page when we do future calls. Now, let's move on to our training for this week, where we'll talk about the 3 things: easy new age SEO rankings, marketing and replying to leads, and then the free business analyzer software. So we'll talk about those 3 things in that precise order. And then after that, we'll do a Q&A and also a special announcement that I think will be pretty cool. Some kind of like basically some new training that we're starting up for free, that I think you guys can get some personalized help and take advantage of for free. So we'll announce what that is towards the end. But again, it's completely free, and it will give you a chance to get your marketing questions and stuff, answered, and in a lot more detail, and basically almost get like a free consultation with nothing to buy. And then after that, we'll give some cash away. So starting off with the first one on SEO. So people oftentimes way overthink how to rank on places like Google, and that's because the basics are relatively super easy, actually. The more advanced parts normally can be kind of a bit more hard, but they're made easy with WebFire as well. So the basics are fairly easy. The advanced parts can be easy if you use it with WebFire, but people tend to way overthink stuff. And this is why I think there's like sometimes people that either don't get ranked, or like they spend months and months and months like way overthinking stuff, and they don't have rankings because they never tried to rank for stuff. Literally, I could probably think of a keyword, do the relevant research, and lay the foundation to actually get it ranked in a matter of minutes. Now it might take basically a couple days or like a week or so for basically Google to basically pick up on it, but the work that you have to actually do can be relatively easy and done in minutes if you follow the basic rules here. Now there's like a lot of like trainings out there on like weird black hat SEO tricks and all sorts of weird stuff that get like super complex and complicated. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people think a lot of this stuff has to be like basically difficult, but it doesn't have to be at all. And all the stuff that I'm basically teaching you is completely white hat. It's stuff basically Google wants you to essentially do. And you'll actually get a copy of these slides if you want, but feel free to write this down. If not, we'll actually give you a copy of this when we send out the recording as well. But these are the steps to easily rank. And again, guys, it's super easy. So the basics of SEO, again, super easy. Here's all you have to really do step by step. Step 1, find a keyword without tons of competition that still gets either lots of traffic or a lower amount of basically buyers with a high likelihood of buying. For instance, if there's a keyword that's easy to rank for and has like, tens of thousands of searches a month, great. That's probably a good one. But at the same time, if there's a keyword that has, let's say, 400 searches a month, that doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. If it's people that are like looking to buy like a high-end massage chair and they're searching for like the name of like a $7,000 model, if there's 400 people searching a month for something like that, that's an awesome keyword because that's literally 400 people looking to buy like a $7,000 product. Where if you even get like 1% of them to basically buy, or even a fraction of 1%, that's literally thousands and thousands of dollars right there. So that doesn't mean it's a bad keyword just because the volume's low, but you want to make sure that you look for like, hey, is this a keyword that might be more or less likely to be a buyer? For instance, let's just use moped as an example. Like if you're in the market of mopeds, if you had a keyword like, and I'm not like a moped expert, so I might be saying the specifics wrong, but like if you have a keyword like 50cc engine versus 150cc engine in moped, that might not get a lot of searches. I mean, it might get maybe like 100 or so searches a month, maybe even less. But all those people are what? They're trying to do research on what kind of engine would be a one that would fit their needs in a moped. Meaning they're probably looking to buy a moped that's either like a 50cc moped versus a 150cc moped, which is another kind of keyword. It could be 50cc moped versus 150cc moped. Again, probably not like a ton of searches, but all those people are probably looking to probably buy one of those two kinds of mopeds. And in that case, that could be thousands of dollars per sale right there. So that would still be a good keyword to possibly go after. Whereas, if someone's just trying to rank for moped by itself, it might be super competitive. Not all those people are necessarily looking to buy. They could be looking for like, who knows what, like maybe a song on a moped, maybe basically pictures of mopeds. I mean, whatever it might be. But there's a lot of non-buyers mixed in that, where usually the more specific you go, the more likely you are to get buyers, but sometimes the less amount of traffic. But when you're trying to basically target traffic, that's what you really want. You only care about the buyers, not necessarily about like how many hits you essentially get. Another example is using basically diamonds. If you go for a keyword like, let's say, 2-carat diamond ring versus just a keyword like diamond, diamond by itself probably gets literally 1,000 times more traffic, if not more. But they might be looking for basically pictures of a diamond, that they might be looking for a brand name that's called a diamond. You don't really know. Whereas if someone's looking for like let's say like a 2-carat diamond, they're slightly more likely to be looking for a specific kind of diamond that would be worth that would be worth a lot more to you to rank for, because those would sell for significantly more than the standard diamond. So it's kind of tricks like that that you should think of anytime you try to rank for a keyword. Now, one easy way to basically do this is to use the keyword tool inside of WebFire. So the main keyword one we have, we actually have a couple different ones inside of WebFire, but the main keyword tool is really great. You basically type in a single keyword and it can find 50 related keywords, or if you just want to basically type in a handful yourself, you certainly can. And it will go through all those and it will analyze all those, and the easier to rank for ones will highlight in green, the harder to rank for ones will highlight in red. Doesn't mean you can't rank for a red one, just means it's a little more tough. Now, typically, for most keywords that you're trying to rank for, not in all cases, but one of the biggest things is if there's basically 2 or less exact keyword matches in the title tags on page 1 for any keyword that you are trying to basically rank for, that means that you should have an easy chance of ranking. So like if your keyword is, let's say, 50cc moped versus 150cc moped. If there's only like, let's say, a couple sites on page one that are, or that are organic, you don't count any sponsored ads or anything like that. If on page one of Google there's only like basically 2 or less sites that contain that exact phrase side by side in the title tag, which is the blue link that you see for like the search listings, that means you have a very good chance of ranking for that keyword simply by having the keyword in your title somewhere. If there's a lot more than basically 2, that means it's usually much more hard. If there's 3, you can probably still fairly easily do it. If there's like 5 or 6, that means it's usually much more hard to kind of break in there. But again, you can use the keyword tool inside of WebFire to automatically look at that and then spit out the best ones to rank for in green. So you don't even have to look at any of that stuff. There's a bunch of other things that you look at as well, but the keyword tool automatically looks at all that stuff for you and determines what's easier or harder to rank for based upon that. Then once you find a handful of keywords that you want to basically rank for, you want to take one and have it in the title tag of your web page or site, or of your blog post, or of your video. And again, typically the title of a blog post or a web page or a video will often automatically be a title tag in most good website platforms, like basically blogger.com and stuff like that. Or if you use if you use the WebFire plugin for WordPress, which we include under SEO Inferno, which is one of the tools inside of WebFire. We have a WordPress plugin. It will automatically turn, basically the title of basically the blog post title into the title tag for that page. There's a handful of platforms that basically do the same thing. But just by having the keyword in the title tag of your site, or basically in the title of the blog post or the article or the video, you have a very, very excellent chance of ranking for that keyword on Google as well as YouTube and such. Especially if the keyword was in green, or especially if there's 2 or less, exact match sites on page one that are trying to compete over that keyword and have that exact phrase in their title or in their blue link, essentially. And again, it's super easy to change the title tag. So if you already have a site done or anything like that, you can use the SEO Inferno tool or the website analysis tool. If there's an issue, you can click the fix button and it will kind of walk you through how to change all that right there. Now, you want to then, after you make that change, or after you write like a new article and have like your new title in it and such, you can submit the exact URL using the site submitter tool inside of WebFire. And that's literally it. You'll have an awesome chance of ranking your web page, blog post, video, and so forth just by doing this. So that by itself, that simple few steps right there, literally will get you ranked a decent amount of the time right there. So it's not to say that like 100% of the time you'll get ranked, but you have a very, very excellent chance of ranking if you follow those steps right there. If not, you're probably missing at least one of those steps right there. So you want to make sure to have the exact keyword phrase somewhere in the title, and at least usually once throughout the body of the article or whatever itself as well. And that alone can get you ranked. But there are also a few extra things that you can basically do to give yourself even more of an edge. So one of those is to have the title tag, or essentially the title, be super compelling. And that can make a major difference, especially in the past many years, because Google and other search engines are paying attention to what people do, what they click on. They know all that data. So anything that you search on, anything that you basically click on, they know if you click on the number 3 ranked site more than the number 1 or 2 ranked site, and they look at all that stuff. They also know how long you stay on a site. Like if you stay on a site for basically 2 seconds versus 2 minutes, they know what would logic say? That the site that you're on for basically a couple seconds isn't nearly as relevant as a site you're on for a couple minutes. In fact, a little trick that can work, especially for like smaller local terms and stuff, is if you rank for like a smaller term that doesn't necessarily get like a ton of traffic, like if it's like a local one, if you search for it and click on your own site and stay on it, sometimes you're that can actually help the overall results of your site. Whereas if you click it and immediately click back, then click on your competition and stay there, that can actually hurt you a bit from what we've seen. Here's just a couple examples of the differences between a basic kind of title tag and a more compelling one. So if the keyword you were trying to rank for was, let's say, basically potty train your dog, you know, a lot of people would just have the keyword only as their title tag, just like that, like basically potty train your dog. And although that does a good job SEO wise of like, you know, having the keyword in the title, it's not very compelling. It doesn't really stand out well. Whereas instead, you could have a title that still has that exact keyword in it, but has some additional words like how to potty train your dog in 5 minutes. So in this case, the keyword you still have in there, which is basically potty train your dog. But at this point, you also say how to basically prior to it, which gives you some like additional keyword terms that you could possibly rank for. So now instead of just a chance ranking for, you know, basically potty train your dog, you could also rank for how to potty train your dog. Now the last part of, you know, in 5 minutes, it doesn't really have much of a benefit from like an SEO standpoint, because there's, you know, there's probably not a lot of people that are trying to type in 5 minutes. But what happens when you see it? If there's a site that's ranked even number 3 or 4, and you see that, and you see like, you know, let's say the top 3 sites are basically saying potty train your dog, or train your dog to go potty outside, you know, blah blah, and then you see how to potty train your dog in 5 minutes. Even if that's like the number 4 one, which one are you guys more likely to click on? Well, especially if you have a dog inside that's having accidents, you're probably going to immediately say, the 5 minute one sounds pretty compelling. I'm going to click on that and read and see what that is right there. Now, that's just an example. You can apply this to almost anything. Like in the weight loss area, instead of having a keyword like lose weight, just basically by itself, you could have a title tag where, you know, you have lose weight in there, but you could say like, you know, how to lose or how to lose weight in less than like, you know, a minute, you know, a day with this easy exercise, like something like that, where again, it stands out, it pops out, it's much more basically compelling. And that's what happens is better click-through rates not only gets you more traffic, but can also increase your rankings as well. And especially when you make sure that the content on your site lines up with what you're trying to rank for. So people are more likely to stay on your site. The longer they stay on it, the more your rankings can basically go up at the same time as well. So you might have like a number 4 ranks site that can get a lot more traffic because you have a more compelling title. And then over time, that can actually increase your rankings as well, because essentially Google says, well, if the number 3 or 4 site is getting a lot more clicks than a normal number 3 site would get based upon the searches, that's maybe a good indicator that they're doing a really awesome job of having relevant content and stuff. So they'll reward you. Likewise, if you initially get ranked for a keyword but don't have the content to back it up, people won't stay on your site long, and you'll sometimes even lose rankings. So that's why it's super important. The other thing that you can do on the advanced side, and keep in mind, when I say advanced, it doesn't mean it has to be hard. Like the first bit right here, super easy. Just, you know, anyone can think through a more compelling title. But the second thing that you can do is use schemas. Now, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, we basically talked about schemas on the first of the 3-part series here. But using them can make a major difference in rankings and traffic, especially for certain kinds of businesses. Now, I won't dive back into like what schemas are and the, you know, basically the tech side of that. because again, our first call focused on that. But basically, a schema is just extra information that you provide to Google on your site or your businesses or whatever it might be. That's also one of the easier things that you can sell as a service, is like a schema making service for other businesses and such. That's something that you can easily, probably in the $500 to $2,000 price range, you can easily do, and is a very appealing service, yet can literally be done in like 5 minutes of your time with the WebFire schema maker tool, inside right there. A schema does things like, for a local business, it can have like a click to a call button if it's like a mobile, or if it's a search from like a mobile site. It can have the business hours. It can also have like outside of local stuff. You can have like several of your web page links show up underneath your main link. I mean, all sorts of things like that. And keep in mind, you can also have more than one schema on a site. So you could have what's called the navigation schema, which is where you have not only your main page show up on the rankings on Google, but several additional pages and several additional links can show up. So you have like one giant link with a bunch of other links that basically takes up a lot more room. You can have that, as well as a local schema, which lists like your local business. If you're a local business or have a client, you can list like your local business hours, your social media, your number, click to get directions, all that stuff. You can also use the Q&A schema at the same time, which is where you basically essentially type in questions that you think your site or your web page answers, and Google does a very good job of showing like a preview of your answer to someone that types in a keyword or a question related to that right there, with a link to your site so they can read the rest of it. That's also another kind of like new age thing that can get a lot of eyeballs and a lot more traffic. Now, you can use the schema maker tool inside of WebFire to help you do all that. And of course, if you want more information on a schema or how to basically do that or sell that, again, on the first call that we had 2 weeks ago, we basically covered a lot more of that. So make sure to check out that there if that's of interest. You can then also use the rank tracker tool inside of WebFire to help actually track the rankings as well. And you can also track by different regions or basically countries and stuff. So if you want to see what rankings look like in the US versus Australia versus the UK versus New Zealand or South Africa, you can do all that. Usually, for like a rule of thumb, typically if you're trying to look like what it would look like on a global scale, I would just do like from basically the US. But you can see when the rankings go up and down. You can add in like tons and tons of keywords and even different web pages of yours within one site. So you can do all that and actually track all that. In fact, I've actually seen ranking trackers out there that literally do a lot less than what ours does and actually cost more than WebFire itself. That's a really awesome tool that I think you guys should definitely try to take advantage of there. Again, that's all SEO really has to be, so don't overthink that. So moving on to the second one, which is marketing and replying to leads. So WebFire lets you easily find tons of different kinds of leads, like forum leads, ranked leads, like these are leads that are all already ranked on sites that have like page one rankings on Google, Yahoo, and Bing that you can leave a post, a comment, or a reply on. Social media leads, where you can find leads of people on social media asking questions, basically kind of blog and PR leads that you can get in touch with like the media and stuff. I mean, there's all sorts of leads that WebFire can help you get in touch with, and we have several different lead tools within WebFire to help you do all that. And we've basically talked about this a little bit on some of the prior calls, but this can help a great deal with marketing your offers or services. But the big question we often get is, how do you go about reaching out basically to those leads? And how you go about that can make a world of difference. If you're answering a question in your niche that a lead asks, you want to first make sure you respond with a helpful post that typically lightly promotes your video, blog, email address, or whatever it might be. Usually I see a lot of people make the major mistake of just trying to basically promote their link or their service or whatever. Like if someone says, hey, how do I rank on Google, or like a simple question like that. A lot of people that are like, let's say, selling, an SEO service say, oh, hire my service and I'll do it for you. Click here and buy. And it's not really helpful at all. Whereas, if you were to say like, hey, one easy way is to do some keyword research and then make sure to use the keywords in your titles and blah, blah, blah. If interested, feel free to check out my blog on that here, or feel free to check out a video I have on some extra tips, as it also talks about a service I have to help with that, blah, blah, blah. Or if you have, or if you're interested in basically talking about, a service I have, you can also just email me at blah, 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 blah. But first and foremost, you want to make sure that you answer their question and basically provide value. Like a few real life examples there. So one of the first things I ever did online is I was an affiliate for a handful of diamond sites. So instead of just saying, if someone had a question on a diamond, most of the competition would just say, hey, my diamonds are the best, click here and buy. And that's basically what almost all of them would essentially do, but people see through that. It doesn't really come off as helping. People tend to like not really trust it as well. In fact, people tend not to trust a stranger as a whole, especially online. So you kind of have to prove yourself a bit. So here's what I would do. So I would find someone that's asking a question on, let's say like a diamond, and then instead of saying like, oh, I can help buy through my affiliate, or basically buy through the link right here. This is a good store. It'll make, it'll give a really awesome price. Instead, I would say like, hey, it depends on the kind of diamond you're looking for, but oftentimes, like, I would just write back saying, oftentimes, some of the big online stores will actually be significantly cheaper and offer better value than some of the offline stores will. But regardless of which you would do, you want to make sure to look for a diamond that's certified by GIA, which is a type of certification basically. Because oftentimes some places can say they have a higher quality diamond, but it's not certified, so you're basically taking them at their word right there. And then what I would do after I gave them like a little bit of info, I would then say, if you're looking to get some help, let me know a bit of what you're looking for, and I'd be happy to send you some links to some diamonds that I find on some of these sites that might be like really awesome deals close to what you're looking for. So what that basically does is I gave them help right off the get-go. They trust me at that point, and I'm not saying buy from me. I'm saying, hey, I'll give you a few different links to exact ones that I found that I think would be a good fit. So they think I'm being super nice, which I kind of am, but I'm also making money off that, because the links and the suggestions that I give them would be affiliate links. And you can even say like, I'd often have like affiliate links that would have like a discount deal, and I'd say like, hey, there's $100 off on this link of mine right here, and here's 3 diamonds I think would be a really good fit for you. Let me know what you think. And they would then go and basically check out my suggestions, and if they liked any of them, they would obviously buy. If they didn't, they would usually write back saying like, hey, I like this but not that. And even by basically clicking the link, they're basically essentially cookied, and I would get the credit on anything that they buy in the future, or in the near future as well, on those sites there. So that was worth it, because like, even making like, let's say like a 5 to 15% cut is a lot of money when someone's spending thousands of dollars, in some cases tens of thousands of dollars, on these diamonds and such. But anytime I would reply, I'd make sure to, again, provide the value first and foremost. Or if someone asked like a question, like another question I oftentimes would get is, what do you think of this diamond? And they'd have like a link to one that they were looking at. And then I would give like an honest opinion, like, hey, that's not a bad deal, but here's a link or two to some that I think are slightly better quality at a little bit cheaper of a price. And they would usually be astounded by that, like, oh wow, I went out of my way to find them a better quality, diamond and a cheaper price at the same time. They're far more likely to kind of click those links, check those out, and buy, where I'd get hundreds of dollars per sale in commissions there. So again, I made sure I responded by helping them all first and foremost, whether it be answering their question with links or answering their question saying, hey, I'd be happy to send you some links to some diamonds on these other big sites. If you let me know what you're looking for, feel free to reach out to me right here. I mean, that worked really, really well. Another example is I had a mobile autoresponder service where essentially we had a campaign we had, oh gosh, probably years back, where I had a worker of mine just spend part of a day finding other sites out there that we could leave a post, a comment, or a reply on that were already ranked, but people were asking questions. And this was like ranked for keywords related to mobile autoresponder, text message autoresponder, stuff like that. And people are asking questions like, hey, what's a good mobile autoresponder? What's stuff I should look for in a text message service, or blah, 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 like questions like that. And I'd have my worker basically answer and say like, hey, a few things you want to look for is one that has this, and that. You also want to look for and make sure you check out that they don't have additional really high fees for like, international text, or for like, high fees to have like, your own number, stuff like that. And then they were very blunt in saying, I'm a worker of this service right here. So, feel free, if you have any questions or want to check it out, just let me know. So he answered the question first and foremost, provided value, but also gave like a link to his own stuff a little bit as well. Another kind of lead that you can reach out to, so instead of just reaching out to consumer leads, you can also reach out to business leads, where you could do like a business to business deal instead of business to consumer deal. So you can you can use like the guest blog post finder or the backlink finder to reach out to either competitors or larger players in the field, and try to reach out to kind of do a possible deal with them, like a white label deal where they can sell your stuff or your service that you could easily sell through WebFire. They can sell it as basically under their own name. If you want to do a white label like that, well, you do all that work, or you basically provide them the back end, or whatever kind of deal you want to basically do. It doesn't really matter. But one example I did was many years back. I reached out to leads of basically people in the real estate investing niche that had like huge basically audiences and stuff online, and I would reach out and basically say like, hey, here's some software we have that we think could work really well in your field. Is there an interest in possibly doing some kind of white label deal here, or blah blah, and kind of like approach it in a way like, hey, I see you're in this niche right here. I see you have a good size crowd. Here's a product that I think could really benefit, and here's how you can make like a lot of dough off of it. Give them a lot of control, like they could sell it for anything they want, and you work out like basically a cut or anything like that, and you try to make it as hands-free as possible. And when you can do that and make it hands-free, you're literally giving these places the opportunity to make a lot of money without actually doing a lot of work. What the mistake I oftentimes see is when people contact businesses, they make them do a lot of work. They make them like, write the sales page. They make them make the entire pitch. They make them literally do everything. And at that point, the businesses say, well, I can just kind of do this myself and spend the time to kind of like make this all myself if they truly have to do all that work anyway. So try to think that through, but like a single deal there can make a lot of money. I mean, that was a 7-figure deal way back when, but it all comes down to how you approach leads and how you basically reach out. So moving on to some free software time right here. So we have some very neat software that can help basically analyze your business or even those business prospects of yours, or even if you're brand new with no idea of what you want to do, you can use it to help you decide right there as well. So I'm going to briefly demo this, and then I'll give you guys a link to play around with the software as well. And in the meantime, if you guys have any questions on anything, you can feel free to ask ahead of time, and I'll get to that after the demo part and after a special announcement after that. All right. All right, so here's the software right here. This is one that you guys can use for free right here. It's basically a tool that you answer a bunch of different questions, and it can actually analyze either your business or a prospects of yours, or if you don't have a business, it can kind of help you find the right direction of something you might want to basically do. So you start off, and I'll give you the link here in a bit. But if you didn't have a business or you didn't have an idea, it'll walk you through a completely different path. But let's say, you say, hey, do you have an existing business? Yes. Let's pretend that we're like an AC repair place, okay? Now, this doesn't matter what the example is, but let's say this is like an AC repair place. The question is, do you sell, offline or online? I'll say mostly offline, let's say here. Do you sell to consumers or businesses? I'll say consumers. Do you have a website? Yes. And based upon the answers you give, it actually changes the questions it asks, and it changes the response that you get at the very end. It'll ask like questions like if they feel they're getting enough leads or rankings, and all sorts of stuff like that. If they run paid ads, the amount of visitors that they think they get. What they think their average conversion rate is on that site. So again, we're pretending we're a local AC repair place. And let's say the most commonly sold product right here, let's say the service, typically is maybe $200. That might be low. I'm not sure. This is, again, just an example. Might be, $200, $300, not sure, but we'll just say that. And what's the highest? We'll say highest maybe, I don't know, maybe 5,000 if someone like replaces an entire unit and all that stuff. I'm sure it could cost a lot more in some cases, but again, just an example here. Asks if they have any upsells or anything. We'll say they might have like one. What's the average value of those upsells? Let's say, maybe like $100 more. And ask like, again, all sorts of different questions here, like if they have a list or not. Like let's in this case, they might not have a list, if they have a blog or not, or a site or not. If they ever run special offers, what they think their biggest issues are. And then after all that, it spits out this right here, where it gives kind of like a breakdown of their business along with suggestions that they can basically do. Like right here, it says, hey, as a whole, not including upsells, they're currently making around $5,000 a month. However, we feel that a lot of money is being left on the table in the following areas. For instance, if they increase their upsells, they could make an additional $2.5 grand per month. So 50% more with just, an easy tweak. By increasing their targeted traffic just by 1,000 more hits a month, they could increase that and make an additional basically $25,000 a month. So it gives them an idea of what they could make and how they could basically grow. And it says, hey, if you target your higher end prospects more, there's probably about $50,000 being left on the table by simply getting a couple more high-end sales each week instead of focusing only on your smaller end one. So it gives them like a basic overview and hope. And when they read this, they're like, oh, wow, that is a lot of money being left on the table. I'm super curious how I can go from 5,000 to literally tens of thousands of dollars more. Start to read down here, and you'll see that hey, it gives kind of like a breakdown, but it gives a lot of basically tips and stuff. Like right here, it talks about, since they said that they had issues with rankings and stuff, it talks about tricks that they can basically do right there and explains it all and whatnot. And then it gives suggestions on basically resources or basically tools that can help with each thing right here. So you can check that out. Some of these resources are free. Some are essentially tools that can help. Some are just basically tips. So like if they didn't do any ads on Facebook, it will it will basically give them some resources and stuff to basically start that if they want to essentially try it. If they have less than the recommended amount of upsells, it gives some extra tips right here. Like it says, hey, we usually recommend that you have at least 2 to 3 upsells, and here's a couple of useful tips to help with that. And just kind of goes through it, and again gives like lots and lots of tips, and gives like if they don't have an email list, or if they have an email list and don't run special offers, it gives some tips on like how they can run a special offer better. And again, there's some like free resources and also like a handful of tools that can be basically checked out. So this is a neat thing that you can use in your own business to kind of give you an idea of what kind of money is being left on the table. Or if you have like a prospect, you can kind of answer the questions for them right here to kind of see, hey, what could be done with just a handful of tweaks essentially. And you can do the same thing, like, if let's say, if you didn't have a business, and say like, hey, and you were to restart the survey, and you're saying, hey, you're not sure what you want, it'll basically ask a bunch of questions on like, if you like which of these sound more appealing to you, and all sorts of stuff like that, what your startup budget is, and like a whole bunch of different things like that. And it kind of, based upon that, kind of leads you down the right path and gives you something good to basically start with, something that fits the criteria that's of most interest to you and fits basically your startup essentially budget and all that good stuff right there. So cool, useful tool right there. I think you guys will get a lot out of that. So, and that's completely free for you to use right there. And on top of that as well, when the survey's done, there's also just like, this is just like a little ad for basically some free software, which is just the funnel maker that you guys got last week as well. So you can also get that if you missed that last week. We have the funnel maker that we basically demoed last week, that you have another chance to basically get that for free as a special thing right here. So yeah, very, very neat thing right there. So I'm just going to go back to PowerPoint in a second. Okay. All right. And that link, and again, this is completely free. There's nothing to sign up for or anything like that. You can go to bizfire.com/yourbiz. So once more, that's just bizfire.com/yourbiz. And that's completely free. And then we'll have that link mentioned in the chat as well. But again, that is completely free to use, just another bonus to kind of help you out there. And yeah. All right, now keep in mind that this was just one of the free software tools that you got, including, you also got one last week. So this is on basically on top of the free software from last week. And if you missed any of our prior trainings, or you missed the last free software, make sure to check them out inside the members area. So we had, this is the the third part of the Jumpstart series. So on this one and the last one, there was some free software on those right there that you guys should definitely look at, because I think last week's software especially was super useful for like playing around with like a funnel to see like, you know, if you have a business model that has a chance of working well or not. That was a very useful one that we showed off last week as well. Now, if there's any other questions, you can feel free to ask those here, and I'll have a special announcement in a minute. But in the meantime, you'll also have a chance to win $100 live in just a few minutes. We'll actually do the drawing live. So what you want to basically do is, I'll do the special announcement after I announce this right here. What you want to basically do is go to this link you see right here, getwebfire.com/FB group. Again, that's getwebfire.com/FB group. If you're not already a free member, just click on join right there, and Sharon will approve you within a minute. Towards the top of the page, you'll see a post within the last, well, here, I'll just show you, probably within the last 30 minutes or so. What you want to do is leave a comment within the post there. So don't leave one on like another post or outside of it. It makes it much easier if you leave it within the post. So I'll just pull this up here. All right. So if you go to the page right here, which is again just getwebfire.com/FB group, you'll see a post from Sharon right here. I think looks like the second post down from within the last half hour or so, just asking what you thought on today's call. If you leave your comment within this post right here, so just basically click on comment and say what you thought, or if there's a suggestion for a future call or anything like that, any comment at all, let us know. And in a couple minutes, we will pick a winner based on that.
Hey, Brian.
So, yep.
Can you show the software link again, please?
Yep. So that's just bizfire.com/yourbiz. So we'll have that in the chat box, or Sean or Sharon, if you could type that in, that would be awesome. It's just bizfire.com/yourbiz. Awesome. So just click that link right there. It will basically take you straight to the survey, so you can basically bookmark that page. So you can go back to it as much as you want, and you can retake the survey and stuff as much as you want right there. So super useful tool, gives a lot of awesome suggestions, including like, for instance, like if we see that like you don't have a lot of special offers you do or stuff like that, it will give like basically tips on like how to run a really good special offer, including like one that I think can make a fortune, like can make a lot of businesses more in a few days than they can like in an entire month. So some really awesome tips there.
Okay, so Brian. So somebody just posted up and asked, you know, and well, really was being sarcastic. So, you know, how is this for verification of following directions and using the WebFire tools? So they started on the 8th of January. 2 weeks ago today, they got a keyword-rich domain following our directions and using the tool to figure out the domain. They installed WordPress, so this is like brand new, installed WordPress, created a blog, followed the instructions, used the tools. As of today, they are #1 in Yahoo and #1 in Bing for the keyword, and they didn't even get to adding the schema yet.
Oh, nice.
So for those of you who are like, how long does it take? What do I do? It's go get started, do stuff, get results.
Yeah,
so
and that's
really awesome, and congratulations on not only results but taking action, because it's the first of many.
Yeah, and you'll find as well, like usually when you make the changes, when you do the SEO stuff, you know, the basics, as I said, is super easy. Just use a keyword, you know, use basically the keyword software tool we have to kind of find like what the better ones to rank for are, or the easier ones, then basically target those in the title tags and, you know, in the body. That alone will get you ranked for a lot of terms. It won't necessarily get it like 10 out of 10 times, but I mean, if I were to use the method that I just said with just the basics, not even doing the advanced stuff, probably 7 out of 10 times you'd get ranked just on that. Then if you do the advanced stuff like, you have the schema on there, you have a compelling title, which again isn't all that hard, you increase the chances even more so. And what you'll find is once you do that, in some cases you could be ranked overnight. In other cases it might take like a week or two. Especially with like a schema, those usually take like a week or two to basically be picked up by Google and such. But once you do that work, it really starts to basically pick up and work really well. And you can use the rank tracker to basically track all that, because you might not be looking, on all the search engines or all the different like keyword spots and all that. So that's why we have basically, essentially a software tool to not only track the rankings, but basically track when your rankings go up and down and such as well. And with that, as you guys get the chance to leave your comment or ask any question that you want, Sean and I wanted to try an idea that we basically thought of today that we thought would be kind of neat. So we thought, hey, if there's an interest, we'll basically try this. And we want to give you guys the chance to get your marketing questions basically answered in a lot more detail. So on a call like this, we give you the chance to ask any question you want live. We also give the chance, if you write our support, they can answer you there as well. But obviously, like the type of answers we give you here, they're good answers, but it's not like we can take like an hour per person and basically answer like everything super thoroughly with actual examples for each one, because it'd be like basically a 12-hour call. But we thought, hey, why don't we basically take one really good marketing question every so often, maybe each week or so, and we'll take a question from you guys and we'll kind of turn that into like a Facebook post and like a blog post, where we'll basically post up the question that you had and we'll essentially answer it like in a very detailed, very in-depth answer with like examples and stuff. So if you have a question like, hey, how would I market this better? How would I make more sales here? Or how can I rank in a very competitive market like this? Like anything that you have, any marketing type question, let us know, and you can write those to dfy@webfire.com, and we'll basically pick like maybe like once a week or so, we'll basically write up a very detailed answer, and we'll basically post that for all to see. Because even if you don't have like your own question, we think that there will probably be a lot of benefit from reading about how we'd solve all sorts of marketing issues and stuff out there. So if you have any issues at all, anything related to marketing or business or anything like that, let us know, and we'll try to pick a handful of questions and give basically answers inside the Facebook group, and we'll post to like probably a blog and stuff on on top of that. But we thought it'd be something fun to basically try out, see if you guys are interested in that. If not, no worries. If you guys don't want that, cool. We just thought we'd basically offer it and see how many takers we have and see if you guys actually enjoy reading them. So something that we thought would be fun. We'll probably have our first one probably maybe at the start of next week or so, depending upon the popularity of it. So with that, you can write any question you have to dfy@webfire.com. I'll briefly look over any of the other questions here in case any have gone unanswered. I know Sharon and Sean have been answering a lot of them. All right. Ben said, how can he get the free software from last week? Well, if you go to the members area, under the training, you'll see the past call. You can get the link there. I don't know the link offhand, but I'm sure support would know if you just write support@webfire.com, or if you just look at the replay of it, or just look at the slides from last week, you'll see the link on that right there. And someone said that they got.
So a couple questions, Brian.
Yeah.
I'll translate for you. Okay. So somebody was asking, how do they find people interested in solar panels?
Sure. So that's the whole question.
Yeah. Well, that's the short version of the question.
Yeah. So with a question like that would actually be like a pretty good one for like this new thing that we are basically saying, because like we can give you a short answer here. There's like a lot of different things that you can basically do. To give you an in-depth answer, that might be like, a half hour of stuff. But just off the top of my head, so if you were marketing solar panels, let's say, a few things that I would do to start with. One of the first things is first try to brainstorm or look at some of the most commonly asked questions that basically people have in that. Because my guess is that people don't just say one day, I want to buy a solar panel. They might, I mean, there probably are some, but most of them probably do some research ahead of time. Like, hey, how much do solar panels cost? What are the different, kinds of solar panels? They might even look for like solar panels specific to a certain area. Like I know ones in like, basically a desert would probably be completely different than, one in like the Midwest by me. And I'm sure there's also a lot of technicalities of like, again, I don't know enough about solar panels to know the technicalities between them, but I'm sure there's like different power outputs and stuff like that. So as people research it, they might have questions like, what is the difference of like this versus that kind of power outage? What is the difference between, or how much does, how much do solar panels cost? Just anything like that. Now, if you sat down, you could probably brainstorm. I mean, I would think in 10 minutes, I would want you to have a minimum of probably like 15 to 20 questions. If you don't have 15 to 20 questions, it means you don't know your niche well enough. Then you should spend that time researching Google, seeing what others are saying, and then also use the keyword tool inside a WebFire to see like, hey, of these questions, are there any that maybe get like more searches and any that get that are easier to basically rank for, and then create the content to have the answers there. Have the answers to all those questions and have each question as a separate blog post and also a separate video as well, which you can use the video Firestorm to help you rank on as well, right there. And then what you'll find is, there might not be like millions of people a month searching for all these, essentially questions, but if someone's looking to search for solar panels, I don't know what those run exactly, but I know last time, because I briefly looked at that like years back, and it was like something like, it was like tens of thousands of dollars for the one I looked at. And it was like, you don't need a million people wanting to spend tens of thousands of dollars to have it be, a worthwhile keyword to rank for. So keep that in mind. Like that's one of the first things that I would do right there. The other thing is that I would use the lead tools to find people asking questions on solar panels and people talking about that. Then I would try to reach out to those guys right there, answer the questions that they have. Maybe also have a blog post or like a video that you can refer them to on, on top of that for like, additional info. Also reach out to like guest blog, sites using the guest blog tool to find places that maybe sometimes talk about solar panels to see if you can try to do, a guest blog post there. I mean, those are just off the top of my head. That's probably like, easily like a few hours of stuff that you can easily do that can make a major difference in not that long of a time. If we had a lot more time, we could like probably actually draw out like, a pretty decent plan in like a half hour or so to really hit home on that. But that's definitely one that we could consider for one of the future posts there. All right. We got a question here that says, your link does not work. And I see it's because you're not using the right link.
Yeah, that's before we posted the link. I'm sure that's
okay.
fixed now. You're way behind.
Okay. Yep. So that link is just bizfire.com/yourbiz. It is not the WebFire link. So it's just bizfire.com/yourbiz. Okay.
So somebody's asking, so we get this traffic coming in, how do we set up the visitor flow to get the best quality leads and sales?
What was the question, Sean? I was in the middle of reading another one.
Okay, well, that's because there's too many questions now.
Yeah.
So we get this traffic coming in, how do we set it up so the visitor flow gets us the best leads and sales?
Is that in response to like the lead stuff I said, or just in general?
Well, the leads I mean, they have traffic coming to their website. So what do they do with it? Like they build a blog, people show up at their website.
Sure.
What do they do with it?
Sure. So it depends. I mean, that's a pretty broad-ended question. But
You wanted a question? I got you a question.
yeah. So there's a bunch of different things that you can do with it. But like the most important thing is like anytime you do like a blog post or like a video, or anytime you basically answer a question from like a lead out there online, you want to basically treat it kind of like a spider web. Like, okay, at the center of your spider web is your spider. Now it sounds like you're trying to catch basically prey, and that sounds a little morbid, but really you're trying to basically catch essentially prospects and turn them into sales. So the spider web, as you go out further and further, you're kind of reaching out onto all these different like blog posts of yours and videos of yours and basically answers that you've basically done on other sites. Those are kind of like expanding your spider web. And when one of those little arms of your spider web basically catches basically a visitor, you then want to kind of reel them into the center of your spider web, which is basically what you want them to basically do, which would be either buy your stuff, it'd be maybe contact you, it'd be maybe like click your affiliate link, whatever that might be. So for instance, using the solar panel example, after you answered some questions or did like a blog post or like a video on it, once you started to reel them in towards the center would be more of like, if you had like a blog post that gave some extra tips on what the difference of this kind of solar panel is versus that kind, you'd want a call to action of some sort at like the very end, which might be like, hey, if you want to see if solar panels would be a good fit for you, feel free to fill out your information here, or feel free to basically type in your address here and see if the solar amounts work for your house. I mean, anything like that, you try to give them a call to action. And always, anytime you have some form of content, you want to kind of draw them into something that gets you money or gets you a lead. Like, for instance, typically if you do like a lot of paid ads and stuff like that, you'd have them go to like an opt-in page. And then from the opt-in page, you'd go to like a sales page. And then you market more and more to those leads. But when you're answering a question, you don't want to necessarily always send them to an opt-in page, because it doesn't come off as super helpful. Instead, you want to maybe send them to like a blog post or like a video to basically give them some more info. And then within that blog post or within that video, have either a suggestion via an affiliate link, or a way to contact you, or a way to buy, or a way to check out, whatever it might be. So you always want to think like, what can I do to draw these guys in? And then once they're there, what can I basically do to help persuade them to make a buying decision or take the next step, basically, whether that step be reaching out to you, filling out a form, basically clicking a link, like an affiliate link, or whatever that might be. All right.
I think we pretty much got everybody done.
All right, and yes, there was a quick question here. If WebFire can work on this host or that host or WordPress and such, yes. So you can use that on pretty much like all those, including we have, for those that have like a WordPress site, there is a WordPress plugin that can actually help with that stuff. So anytime you click any of the fixed links inside of the analysis tool, it kind of walks you through how to basically fix that. And there's an easy way if you have a WordPress site. If you have a non-WordPress site, there's also fairly easy ways on that as well. So yeah, so that's all fine. All right. All right. So I think All right, great stuff. So some great suggestions here as well. So what I want you guys to basically do is that, again, if you have like a more in-depth marketing question, or if like the solar panel guy, or see there's also like a CPA one and a few others, if you want to just write dfy@webfire.com with basically your question or whatnot, and say like, hey, this is for the Facebook post or blog post for basically Brian and Sean to consider. We will definitely check those out. And now let's give some cash away. And if we miss any questions or anything like that, just feel free to write support@webfire.com as well. So with that, let's give some cash away. So I'm gonna refresh my screen really quick here. All right, so here's the post from Sharon. All right, you see lots and lots of comments. All right. All right. A couple people posted in the wrong one. All right. I'll count. I'll be nice and count the 4 that are outside of here. All right. So 4 plus 46. So we have 50. So out of 50 comments there, let's see who the winner is. So I'll click 1 through 50 right here. Click on generate. Oh, 50. Wow. That's kind of funny. So that was someone that posted outside of it. They actually posted in the wrong one. Kind of funny. But Dale Maxwell, if this is you, or looks like you, and you have 43 friends, congratulations. You are this time's WebFire's marketing webinar winner. So just make sure to give us your PayPal email and basically post it up in the chat box, and Sharon will make sure that she basically PayPals you $100 shortly this afternoon. So again, congratulations to, what was his name again? To Dale Maxwell. So, all right, guys, with that, and again, feel free to have any kind of like comments or feedback or anything you want to see on like a future call, or if you have like a marketing question, I will do a post on the Facebook page soon, also asking for like additional questions and stuff. And if that's of interest to you, let us know, and just write dfy@webfire.com, and we will pick probably maybe one a week or so and do like an in-depth analysis to hopefully help a lot of you out, because we find like it won't just help one person, it tends to help like a lot. So you can apply pretty much all this stuff to almost any business. So we thought this would be like basically a cool way to help. And once more, that link for the free software was just bizfire.com/yourbiz right here. So with that, any additional questions, feel free to reach out to us. Otherwise, have a great rest of the week, and we'll basically talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye.